Alright guys, welcome back. It's time for the moment of truth. Is this an orange soda or a chocolate cake? Let's find out.
Alright, here we go. I'm going to rank the top 30 albums that I've listened to that were made from the years 2020 to 2025. Now keep in mind this only factors in albums that I've listened to. So if a certain album that you like that falls within this time span doesn't appear on this list, it's because I haven't heard it.
You'll be double checking the straps on your next load after watching this. Number 30, Hovering Plane.
Alright, to kick things off here, we have this mixtape that was good enough to have multiple covers. I will say this is a pretty good listen the whole way through. It kind of suffers from some of the tracks being a little bit too long. I feel like some of them could have been shortened, but overall, you can't go wrong with any ambient album. Those things go hard every single time. The best song on here is the first one. I don't even remember what it's called though, unfortunately. Also, ever since listening to this album, YouTube has been consistently recommending me DDLC videos, which has been kind of a thing.
Number 29, Shapeshifter.
This is an album a friend of mine made earlier this year. It's a pretty good one. Just some nice electronic tracks throughout the whole thing. It's got some nice transitions from track to track as well. It's nice, good use of 30 minutes or something like that, however long it is. The best song on here is Results.
Number 28, The Follower.
Now Kendrick Lamar this low and this early in the video might shock some people.
Can't be right! This can't be right! This cannot be right! This cannot be right! This is not right!
But I just found this album to be overrated. It's still a pretty good listen. However, it's bloated and has too much weirdness with the instrumental parts. I couldn't really get behind it. The pacing was all over the place. It felt like 5 years listening to the whole thing. But overall, it's still a very nice album, and I still think it's worth your time. The best track on here is Mirror. Now you see why I put the disclaimer at the beginning, because I know people from Rate Your Music and Album of the Year are going to get butt hurt because I didn't put Kendrick Lamar in the top 5.
Number 27, Not Joking.
But I keep hearing these strange sounds coming from the kitchen. Holy shit!
It's time to actually talk about this album. It's a pretty good one from start to finish. Nice flow from track to track. Very compact. It's only 35 minutes of your time. The favorite one on here is Grand Theft Ego. No offense to Rockstar Games. And it also has some very interesting features too. My favorite feature is probably the one on track 10. That was the most interesting one.
Number 26, Giant Squid.
Alright, now we have an album a friend of mine made. Once again, this is roughly the same as the album before on this list. However, a key difference is I'm on this album, so therefore it's a better album. I'm just kidding, it's more interesting than that. It's pretty much the same thing, but there's slightly different stuff genre-wise, and also it has more funny moments.
Rolling things in my roommate until they figure out what it is, part 1.
The best track is probably Rubidium, even though that's the one that I'm on. It's still the best one, not because of me on it, but actually it is totally because of me on it.
Number 25, Shadow Man Swinging.
Now we have King's Disease 3, Late Stage Nas, Hit Boy collab for... How many fucking Hit Boy collabs did Nas do? Whatever, doesn't matter. Anyways, this one, the most interesting one probably, it has no features throughout the entire thing, and it's just Nas. The first Nas album that doesn't have features on it at all the whole way through, other than excluding compilations, I believe. Overall, this thing was pretty good. However, the pacing of it was the main downside because it just feels like a slog. The thing is about like 50 or so minutes or an hour or something, but it feels like 5 hours, especially after like track 10, because some of the songs, they just blend together. It feels like I'm listening to the same song over and over again. However, that same song is a pretty dang good song, so I don't mind it one bit. My favorite track on here is probably I'm on Fire.
Number 24, Roof Bruja.
Now we gotta hit him with a little bit more of a singer-songwriter thing. This person has been following me on Album of the Year for an interesting amount of time, so I decided to listen to his album, and it did not disappoint. While singer-songwriter is not something that I usually listen to because there isn't a lot going on, this one was a pretty nice album the whole way through. It had some interesting transitions. It was very quiet, not a lot happening, as you'd expect a singer-songwriter. And overall, this is a very nice album to listen to. I'd recommend it to anybody that likes singer-songwriter. The best track on here is 7 Layers, which drives me crazy because it's track 5 instead of track 7.
Number 23, Idaho State Penitentiary.
Okay, now we have Danny Brown showing up. This album probably has the most interesting feature list of any album I've ever seen. All of the features are like, I don't even know who like half of the people are on here. It has everybody on it from Underscores to Ice Brokey, I don't even know if I pronounced that right, to Fentanyl, to a bunch of numbers. And it's because of this album that I can actually connect myself to Kendrick Lamar. That's a story for another day. Anyways, back to the album. It's a pretty nice album. The tracks with all the different producers, though, it's like a very inconsistent album with the production-wise, but it still feels very cohesive, even though there are a bunch of different producers and 0 transitions throughout the entire thing. My favorite track on here is probably the one that has Fentanyl on it, which I looked at the track title, and I'm pretty sure he let Noel from Fentanyl title the song. I'm not sure if that's accurate.
Number 22, Haunted Elementary School.
This is the first album that was recommended to me by somebody else. This was recommended to me by GRNTS, whatever the person's name is. This is a pretty nice album from beginning to end, pretty consistent with the tracks, some nice bedroom pop tracks. My favorite one on here is probably Buttons. There isn't really much to say about it, it's just a nice little album.
I'm smoking on Bhutanese Shadow Garden grown Dark Evil pack.
Number 21, Ghost over Underwater Cemetery.
Now we have the shortest thing that I've ever seen that has been classified as an LP. This is a very interesting listen from beginning to end. It's pretty disturbing too. It feels like it was foreshadowing this artist's eventual death this year in 2025. Rest in peace. While there was allegations surrounding this artist, I'm well aware. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the album. It's actually a very nice album from beginning to end. Obviously the last song is an absolute banger, but the rest of the album I think actually stacks up well to the closer. Some people would probably disagree with that, but I think they stack up well. My favorite track, it's obviously No You're Too Late, I Already Died. What else would it be?
Number 20, Unlucky.
Honestly, I never expected myself to actually be listening to Jack Harlow of all people and actually enjoying an album by him. I thought Jack Harlow was just another shitty pop rapper that just made hits just to make hits. But this album is actually not that, surprisingly. This one is actually a pretty good attempt at something that isn't just trying to be a hit. My favorite track on here is probably Gang Gang Gang. It pretty much demolishes every single other song on here. I would actually say that this is an interesting thing to listen to. And I know it's Jack Harlow, but it's actually good, trust me.
Alright, motherfucker, so a couple weeks ago I shot the fucking dog that lives across the way.
Number 19, Meet Up. Pro tip, don't meet up with a date at 1 a.m.
This album is a pretty interesting one. Surprise Tyler, the Creator drop, where he just tries to have fun the whole time, and he definitely does have fun the whole time. It was worth listening to this as soon as it came out. I don't usually do that, but with this album I totally did. The best track on here is probably Ring Ring Ring. This album goes by relatively quickly, but it's still worth your time if you haven't heard it already, which I'm assuming a bunch of people that have watched this video have already heard it.
Number 18, The Runner.
Okay, here's the part where it actually gets juicy, because yes, I did listen to the other King's Disease albums, and I think the third one is the weakest one. The albums in this trilogy all feel like the exact same. King's Disease 1, obviously, no exception. However, this one just had less songs on it, and it just felt like there was less opportunity for filler. This one had features, which also helped the album be more interesting. The best song on here is probably Car 85. That's the one that I've replayed the most. However, I haven't listened to any of the tracks in this album in quite a bit. I should probably go back to it at some point.
Number 17, Shattered.
Just washed my car. Shit's so clean, water don't even stick to it.
Alright, now we have Black Thought and Danger Mouse teaming up. This is a very, very, on paper, interesting collaboration, and the album certainly delivers. However, it doesn't deliver in the way that I thought it would. It's not as good as I thought it would be, but it would still a really good listen. My favorite track on here has to be the one with the posthumous MF Doom feature. Hey! That one pretty much bodies the rest of the other tracks. However, the other tracks on this album are still really nice to listen to, but they don't really have the replayability that Belize does. There are also a couple of interesting transitions that this album did. I think, especially towards the end, the album could have used a couple of more transitions to keep the album flow going, because it just feels like more of a slog towards the end, but I still appreciate the album quite a bit.
Number 16, Dashcam Australia.
Alright, since this one doesn't have a title, I'm not even going to talk about it. Just go read the post that I linked in annotation if it fucking works.
Number 15, RuneScape.
Now, normally I don't do posthumous albums because they aren't really respectful to the artists and they just put together a bunch of crap. However, this one is actually really well put together and very cohesive. I'm not sure how much Mac Miller made of this himself before he died. All I know for sure is that this is a very nice and soft, fucking neo soul, and then there's some like singer-songwriter stuff too. This is a very good album and you should probably go listen to it.
Number 14, Illuminati.
Earl Sweatshirt drop in 2025, pretty much just some rap songs if it was more West Coast. I would say this one doesn't stack up to some rap songs at all, but this is still an amazing listen. It's pretty much the same length as some rap songs too, so if you don't have much time, it's worth checking out. The best song on here is probably Crisco, although it is close between quite a few tracks.
Number 13, Rainbow Granny.
This one is probably my favorite King's Disease project. I listened to all three of them because I thought you had to listen to them in order, but you absolutely do not. The tracks are similar to each other like the other ones. There isn't as much filler, although it is longer than King's Disease 1. This one is the same thing as the other King's Disease projects. However, the features are interesting. Let me just go through the features as well because they are very intriguing. Eminem, past his prime, actually sounding good. Lauryn Hill coming out of retirement. Actually, those are the only intriguing features.
Solo balancing, solo balancing.
The best track on here has got to be Store Run. That beat is really, really well done. Hit Boy actually did a really good job with the production on here. Definitely the MVP on this album.
Number 12, Recording the Class.
Turquoise Death with a turquoise album cover and a very turquoise vibe. This is a very strong drum and bass album. It's got some post-rock moments throughout. It's also got an abundant amount of bird transitions from track to track, and also a couple of non-bird transitions. I enjoyed the transitions, however, a lot of them were really quiet and very difficult to hear compared to the rest of the album. I would say the actual song parts are well mixed, but the transitions are not. But that's a pretty small nitpick. This album is a really nice listen from beginning to end. It feels like about an hour and 20 minutes, even though it's not an hour and 20 minutes. Even though it feels long, it still feels great. It's definitely a must listen for anybody that uses Album of the Year for more than a month.
Number 11, We See You.
Common and Pete Rock pretty much prove that they still got it. Pete Rock's still one of the best producers of all time, and Common is still a very nice MC. Both of them together proves to be a very nice collaborative effort. Both of them shine brightly throughout this album, especially on the first song, Dreamin', which is, in my opinion, the best song on this album. The rest of the tracks, they do stack up relatively well. However, Dreamin' pretty much beats the rest of the album out of the water, aside from a couple of bangers, such as the track that has Bilal on it, however the fuck you pronounce his name. But Dreamin' is the one that stands out to me. It's probably one of the best songs of 2024.
Number 10, Two Adult Madagascar Hissing Cockroaches.
It looks like fresh poop, but it's black tar heroin.
Now at the number 10 spot, this is where we get juicy.
Fucking hell again?
So here we have the number 1 album of 2025, Let God Sort 'Em Out. This is a very good album cover and a very good album that holds up to how good this album cover is. Pharrell Williams pretty much balls out the whole time production-wise. Pusha T and Malice ball out as well. The best track on here has got to be So Be It. That's probably the best song of 2025, without a doubt. The features stack up very well too. Kendrick Lamar, Tyler the Creator, Nas, Pharrell Williams. You also have somebody called Voices of Fire, which I don't even know who that is. And the beat switch on the track that has Nas on it. You can't discuss this album without discussing that beat switch. This beat switch is classic. However, I will say the album does lose steam after the first 5 songs. It's got a really good 3-track run from tracks 3, 4, and 5, but then the rest of the album doesn't stack up quite as well because compared to the first 5 tracks. However, this album is still a really good listen, and it's a must listen for anybody that hasn't heard it yet. It's a really good way to close out your 2025 or 2026 probably, or 2027, whenever the hell you're gonna fucking watch this video.
Number 9, Old Lady Perfume.
Yes, I do prefer GNX over Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. This album is more consistent from track to track. It's less time, so there's less filler. However, there definitely still is filler on this, especially in the first half of the album. However, from track 6 onward, the album is really, really consistent. There's the self-titled track too, which a lot of people don't really like. However, I actually like that track, but it's not the best track on here. The best track is got to be Reincarnated. That beat is really simple, but it's really, really good. Just a really good album and a necessary victory lap for Kendrick Lamar in 2024. Also, the mustard meme is one of the worst fucking memes ever devised by anybody. It's trash.
Number 8, The Online Friend.
Okay, this one has quite an interesting story behind it. So when I first listened to this one, I thought it was the worst thing ever. However, in recent months, I went back and revisited this EP, and I ended up digging it a lot. The best song on here has got to be the opener, Act Right. It's a really nice digital hardcore throughout the whole thing. It's not for everybody, but it's definitely worth checking out. It's not a lot of time, so if you don't have time, this is a really good bite-sized thing to listen to.
Number 7, Metallica.
You know what I want on the side for lunch? Pickles, pickles, pickles. Just a little pickle on the side with my sandwich. Just a pickle. I just want a pickle on the side with my sandwich.
Chromacopia. This is a nice album. It's better than the Don't Tap the Glass. It's got a little bit more of a personal touch to it. Tyler, the Creator's mom, present throughout the whole thing as well. The features are very interesting as well. I think the best one is probably Lola Young, Unlike Him, which is definitely the best song on this album. I think I need to revisit it because it's been a while since I've heard it, but it has got a lot of replay value. It's a very strong effort from Tyler, the Creator, as I would expect, or as anybody would expect from Tyler, the Creator. He's got to be one of the only mainstream artists that I actually enjoy quite a bit.
Number 6, have you ever felt like something was watching you?
Pretty much copy and paste every single thing that I said about Chaser and apply it to this, all the way down to listening to it initially and not enjoying it very much. The Danny Brown feature on this is definitely a landmark moment, but the rest of this EP is also worth talking about. It's the same thing as Chaser, but I think it's a little bit more consistent, and it's a little bit less of those rough vocals that were on Chaser. The vocals are a lot more smoothed out, mixed a little bit differently. This is a very strong album. Wait, this is a fucking EP. What the fuck am I talking about?
Number 5, 5 pounds of human body fat.
And here we have Tyler, the Creator, finally one last time. This is a very strong effort. It's got very nice flow from track to track. It's a little bit on the longer side, but this has got to be the best Tyler, the Creator album in the last 5 years. The more jazz rap angle that this album goes for is probably what makes it my favorite Tyler, the Creator effort over the last 5 years. This album was also good enough to receive a whole-ass reissue that is also legendary. The best track on Call Me If You Get Lost, non-reissue version, is Safari. The best one on the reissue version, it's probably Sorry Not Sorry.
Number 4, Watching Barack Obama.
In 2025, JID was in a beef with Bob the Builder.
Bob the Builder, we can't fix him.
However, 3 years ago in 2022, JID made this masterpiece. Definition of consistent. Every track is a banger. It is quite a phenomenon. So much a phenomenon, in fact, that deciding the best song for this album is actually kind of difficult for me. However, I'd say it's probably going to have to go to Money because I really like the loop that was used in that track. However, Cody Blue 31, 2007, and the track that has Lil Wayne on it are also worth mentioning. And the amount of beat switches on this album is a surprisingly high amount, but they are all very well incorporated. The album deserves all of the praise that it has gotten over the last 3 years of it existing. Just keep Jid away from Bob the Builder, though. That would get pretty ugly.
Number 3, The Creeper.
Lil Yachty pulls out Plan B for this album.
All right, Joseph, Plan B. To the window! To the wall! To the wall!
Give us wet drips down my balls!
Ah, ski, mother!
Instead of just doing generic rap songs, he completely switches it up and does a psychedelic rock album heavily inspired by Pink Floyd. I would assume you've got your Great Gig in the Sky track and the opener. You've got transitions in almost every single song as well. The transitions on this are very well executed too. It's also worth mentioning the Bob Ross sample.
Oh, Bob Ross likes to paint. I think it might be a draw.
The album is also very consistent with each of the songs. The best track on this, it's very difficult to decide, but I think I have to go with We Saw the Sun, which is the one that has the Bob Ross sample. I believe this is a very, very consistent album from start to finish, and it shows, even though there are a bunch of different producers on this, I just can't not love this.
Of all the things to possess, a Justin Bieber action figure might not be the worst choice a poltergeist could make. Number 2, In the Bathroom.
This is the only JPEG Mafia album that I've listened to. I haven't listened to any of the other ones. I would be sure that one of them would have probably had a chance at the number 1 spot, but alas, I kind of want to get this video out, so I guess not. Anyway, this album is on drugs the whole time.
The DEA came over to execute a search warrant. We torched them up. We got a little torched ourselves. Motherfuckers walked right past the evidence, even complimented our design.
The sample selection, too, is unbelievable, too. JPEG Mafia pulls from just about fucking anything. Danny Brown, even though he is primarily artist on this album, he just gets overshadowed by JPEG Mafia the whole time, even though Danny Brown is very good in the appearances that he makes and the parts that he has to fulfill. The best track on here has got to be Kingdom Hearts Key. That beat is, I don't even know how JPEG Mafia thought of that. That is just ridiculous. JPEG Mafia is, in my opinion, easily the best producer in hip-hop right now, and it's not that close.
Number 1.
Easy, finally a layup.
I could talk about this album forever. However, I need to narrow it down to just a couple of things. This is one of the most mind-blowing experiences I've ever had listening to an album. It's one of those albums that you listen to it from start to finish, and then by the time you're done with it, you're just a completely different person. Storage is probably the best track on here, and it is in my top 5 epics of all time. The samples in this are also insane too, because it's impossible to tell what's a sample in this and what isn't. The only one where you can tell is the vocal lines in Storage. The album also has literally flawless flow from beginning to end. The transitions in this literally compete with Pink Floyd and the Avalanches for how clean they are. I'm not even sure how this was pulled off. And also, you want to guess how many people were involved in the producing of this album? 2. It wasn't 45 like all these albums that have been dropping recently. It's just 2 people. This album is honestly one of my biggest inspirations right now for making things. And I'm gonna have to stop myself here before I share too much, because honestly, I'm starting to overshare a little bit. Anyways, that's the end of this video. Be sure to... I'm not even gonna tell you to fucking subscribe. That's some bullshit.